Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Quinn Gil Jr. Rodriguez. Everyone knows me as Gil or Quinn. I'm a music producer. I've worked with. I'm also a uh, slash entrepreneur slash piano player slash philosopher, and uh, my life is wrapped around in the music business, and I just wanted to take this time out of it was on my mind heavy, um, uh, just to look back on my life and talk about the things that influence me musically, mentally, spiritually, socially, from childhood. To get to go back to the beginning and first I want to thank God, the great spirit above. I want to say CO to the Cherokee people and my people in my family, my lady's family, my people on Facebook, my friends, all my associates, my high school, my lifelong friends. I love you all. Just wanted to put this out there and just to put this in effect while I'm here. They say give people their flowers while they're here. Well, I got some flowers for acknowledging the people that was in my life. First off, I'd like to start with again my mother and father. I thanked God already, so on the great spirit already. So I'd like to thank my grandmothers, my great grandmothers and my great. Well, I had the privilege of being around my great grandmothers, great great grandmothers and my grandmothers, and my mother and father, and my family happens to be a large family. I mean, I can tell you right off the bat, we got thousands that I can count. And the Lindsay family, the Jones, the Johnsons, the Clarks, the Broadnaxes, the Winfields, the Whitfields, the Williams, the Cooks, just going down the Rodriguez family, just going around the Velez family, Hartmans, all my cousins. I have so many of it. I love you, and I'm thinking about all of you every day. Family is all we got, and this is about family. If you want to put it into bare context, and growing up, I grew up in Brownsville. I was born in Brownsville, Brooklyn. My grandmother, she was fluent in many languages. My grandmother Marguerite, love her so. She was in a wheelchair, and but she was very intelligent, and I stayed with her more than my own mother, and I spent a lot of time with all of my grandmothers, my great grandmothers, my grandma Lindsay, my grandma Jones, my grandma. Oh boy, there's so many of them. All of my grandmothers, I just love them all. My grandmother Marguerite Hartman, and which was Rodriguez's married name. My grandfathers also were a major influence on me. My elders were the biggest influence on me. My father and mother, at a young age, were involved in music, being that we have a musical family. My mother created a album with Bobby Jones, another family member. What's up, Bobby? That is an album that I think it's the first album that Bobby Jones ever put out. This was back in the early 60s or 70s. And my mother's lead vocalist on that album. It's a green album. I know it's called Bobby Jones Gospel. And I know he has a show nowadays, but Bobby Jones, shout out to you. My father worked with a group. He worked with the first black country singer. His name was Roy C. Shouts out to Roy C. Also with the Spinners, going down to his group, his personal group, the Mantels, and all of the other people he worked with along the way. Um, uh, um, but just not to get into all of that, to go back to my mother starting a group with my uncles, Intensive Heat. Actually, it started out as a group called in Front Page, and this was in the early 70s, and they were working with a bunch of guys that we locked up with, in being from Brooklyn, but we lived in Manhattan at that time, and my grandmother lived in Brooklyn, and my uncles and all my cousins lived in Brooklyn, and I stayed in Brooklyn a lot. As like I said, being around my grandparents, all of these influences. This group called Crown Heights Affair, which consisted of Donnie Litton, William Anderson, Bubba Anderson, Raymond Reed, Ray Rock Reed, our manager, Donnie Linton, who was a major influence on the whole industry. Burt Reed, oh boy, what's up, Burt Reed? I don't know if you're still alive, but if you passed on, R.I.P. Burt Reed had a major influence. A lot of people don't talk about him, and I have to say this. Burt Reed was the reason for the New York hip hop era. Talking about the founders of hip hop. Burt Reed, shouts out to you, my brother. If you want to find out about Burt Reed, go look up the group Crown Heights Affair, and he was a member of that group. It was like 10, 12 people in that group, but I call them all my uncles. I grew up around them, and they were very influential on my music going forward. Primarily my father, but he was a guitar player, also a pianist. I had a standard piano, an electric piano, and keyboards at my house. So I was constantly, and my father was strict. So going forward, moving from Brownsville to Midtown Manhattan, Amsterdam Ave. Shouts out to, well, this is in the 70s again. Growing up in Amsterdam projects and being around that environment near the Met and Central Park, and the whole situation with Central Park 5 had their situation. I was one of those kids that hung out at Central Park at the time, because that was like our place to go to. That was the go-to place to hang out. Remembering all of the musical influences back then. Oh boy, let me go on here. This is very important. Rocksteady Crew, Uptown Breakers, New York City Breakers. They all lived in my building. Shouts out to Crazy Legs, Mr. Wiggles, my brother BB. So many people that were influential back in the days that while we were, working on music and rehearsing. My uncle's Intensive Heat. My father was working, teaching them bass, guitar, vocals, harmonies, mainly harmonies. I learned a lot initially learning vocal harmonies. Saying that, I have to give a major shout out to another family member of mine, and congratulations for 60 plus years in the music business. My great uncle, Mr. Willie Winfield. I love you, and I will do anything for you. And you are, if you're talking about the music business, you're talking about chess records, going back to soul music, Motown, before all of that stuff, doo-wop era, when they was just singing. Like I said, everyone in my era can remember blacks, Puerto Ricans that get together and throw some old sneakers or some paper, some wood, or whatever they found, throw it in a garbage can and set it to fire, and then it'll be like 4 or 5 cats sitting around a lot with the burning fire and blowing beautiful harmonies. And that was one thing that really moved me because it was in my family. And being that my uncle was one of the founders of the doo-wop era, it made me proud. Shouts out to my other cousin, another major contribution to the blues era, my cousin Broadnax, Dwayne Broadnax, and I love you. Shouts out to you. And my cousin also from the Paragons and the Velotones and the Rocket Tones, my cousin Bill Witt. Shouts out to you. This is not a video that I'm making just to be bragging. I'm just giving you my history of what influenced me and my music and what I do today and all of the people that I was involved with. And again, going back to the Amsterdam projects, growing up in the building with all of the b-boy groups living in the Rocksteady crew. Oh boy, I used to sit there with my father training my uncles vocally, going over her. We would rehearse from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. We were Muslim at that time. I grew up under the Ansar community. I'd like to give a great shout out to Baba Malachi York, who taught me a lot about spirituality and studying and understanding Commission sciences and things like that at all, the God science and all that stuff. I was around all of that stuff. It's so much stuff that influenced me from back then. My godfather, Reggie Seegers, who was a master musician and a vocal teacher for a lot of the greats in the music business, and also as far as the spiritual side, my God family, Reverend Philip Valentine, who, oh boy, the meetings of the masters, another thing that me and my mother used to attend back in the days. Oh boy, powerful. Got to meet all of the sisters and brothers in NASA. You talking about the medical community, you talking about political, all of that stuff. They would all have a meeting, and we would talk about this to keep everybody informed and keep your spiritual mind open and alert. And till today, that they play a major part in that, as far as me being sharp. The concept of me and my name, Spirit Eagle, came from the way I think and how I look at things. I'd like to give a shout out to a major influence on my music production and talents was a lady by the name of Evelyn Champagne King. Shouts out to you, sister. She's like an aunt to me. It came through one of my friends that lived in Amsterdam with me, who was an elder and who was also a friend of my Uncle John. Annette Hicks and her brother Lance were a part of my life, and we happened to be blessed to go over to not Evelyn Champagne King's, but her mother, Senior Mrs. King, and everybody called her Mrs. King. And other than that, the community center, Mr. Williams at the Amsterdam projects, we used to go on little trips with Mr. Williams in the community center there. And my boy, one of the elders, Eric, was friends with, you're talking about, oh boy, you're going back to across the street from Martin Luther King on Amsterdam Avenue, Martin Luther King High, and Teddy Riley. Shouts out to you, my brother. Real family, man. We go back. I remember Timmy Gatlin used to hang outside when my family and us would be rehearsing, and Timmy Gatlin would be with his keyboard standing outside listening on to the rehearsals. And they went on to create a group called Guy, which my godfather Reggie had a lot to do with. I was going to join Guy, but I was actually moving to Nebraska, and I was involved in the youth center at the time and the talents out in Nebraska when this was happening. But and I was back and forth, and I didn't engage in the offer to do the rehearsal, or I mean the auditions for Guy. But shouts out to Teddy and Aaron Hall, Boricua. What's up, Aaron? Yeah, and so many people, man, that I was around back in the days when Poe and Alpo and my boy was out there, and these are people that was a little older than me, but I knew all of these people, and it was a major influence, and these are my people, and I love them, and no matter what they did and things like that and what they were involved in, we shared a bond of music, the struggles we were going through, and we didn't care about those things at the time, because we had to make a life for ourselves at the time. And shouts out to my Queens fam, Antonio Rasmus. Shouts out to my boy Bundy, my boy Pita out there, Maria, Bess. If I go down the line, my Queens fam. I don't want to go get to that point yet, but just so many people being at going back to Evelyn Champagne King's house. We would go there, and Miss King would throw these parties, and the food was off the chain. Miss King could cook. Oh my gosh, talk about food that was so delicious. And she would barbecue, and she'd be in the kitchen cooking. And just as a kid, Evelyn's brother kind of was like magical to me, because he looked like Prince. And we used to see him, and I was always asking, like, is that Prince? Is like she related to Prince? But her brother looked like so much like Prince. And Wesley Snipes used to come to the party. Boy, just so many people from that era, man. A lot of cats from the Riverside area, Sugar Hill. There's so many people I know growing up. It's a blur of remembering everybody's names. But these people again. Oh boy, Terrence Howard. When I worked at the up in Sugar Hill, not to get off the subject, but Terrence Howard. When I worked at the theater on 110th Street, the movie theater on 110th Street, Terrence Howard, before he blew up, he'd be there clocking the movies from beginning, from morning time, from daytime all the way to nighttime. I used to hang out in front of the theater with the theater manager, and we'd be talking about taking trips to Aruba and things like that, and Terrence would be standing there just looking at what's being shown on the list. And I just remember him being so quiet, but I knew that he was like serious about acting when the manager of the theater was telling him, yeah, he's going to be somebody big in the movie scene. But he comes in and watches a lot of the movies, and my brother used to let him come in for free and give him popcorn and all that stuff, and he looked out for Terrence. But shouts out to Terrence Howard. What up, T? Again, going back, Evelyn Champagne King's house. Evelyn would be playing her music. She'd be playing just everybody's music, Michael Jackson's music, Janet's music. Just be bumping all of the classics, Alicia Myers. I want to thank her. She'd be playing everybody's music, Earth, Wind, and Fire. She'd be bumping all of the hits from back then. Yes, it was a magical time. Then they moved from, what was it, Teaneck to, I think, Newark. I can't remember if she moved to Teaneck, New Jersey, but I guess I was back home and back in the rehearsals with my uncles in them, and then my uncles got signed to a deal with through Burt Reed and Donnie Linton, who was our manager. Shouts out! Oh, I can't forget. Maureen Singleton, shout out to you. Shout out to Maureen Singleton. She was the manager for Intensive Heat. Oh boy, Maureen Singleton. She also managed another one of my fellow manager. We had the same manager. SWV. Shouts out to the girls and the women from SWV. Coco, all Lily, and all of them. Shouts out to you. Let's see. Going back to Evelyn Champagne King's house, and then coming back home, rehearsing and things like that, and getting into the craft and hearing all the harmony techniques and things like that. And my father would play a lot of Earth, Wind, and Fire. I grew up on a lot of George Benson. If you want to go into a lot of the disco music, I love the disco era, like Taste of Honey. Brass Construction, SOS Band. One of my favorite groups was TDK, which was Jeffrey Osborne's group. And just naming all of the groups that was big back then. Alicia Myers, I loved her, but my number one favorites was Roger Troutman and Zapp. And especially Shirley Murdoch back then. And just giving a shout out to those people, the legends in the game. So growing up, being around the b-boy era and hanging out, doing the popping and locking. Everybody remember the popping and locking? You know what I'm saying? We used to do that all the time, and even up to the slap boxing. We used to do the slap boxing. You know what I'm saying? When brothers get nice with their hands. You know what I'm saying? All of this stuff was a part of hip hop. Before b-boying. Before breakdancing. Let me get that out there. Before breakdancing, there was a form of dance called freestyle. My uncles wrote a song about it. It's on the album 1982 Intensive Heat LP. It's called freestyle. Freestyle was a form that broke from just the original disco dancing and or the two-step. Freestyle was something you battled somebody with. The battling element of hip-hop came from freestyling. There were a lot of gangs back then. Let me talk about that. The gangs back then were from block to block in Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx. Oh boy, Bronx. Boy, there's some memories. There was times where you can walk on one block, and if you crossed that other block, if you didn't know somebody from that block or they didn't know you, you might get your ass whooped. Or you're going to be throwing some dukes up. You're going to have to put, my uncles used to say, excuse my language, to put your dick beaters up. Uncle Rocky, shouts out to my Uncle Rocky Lindsay. Rocky D, where you get your popcorn and candy free. These are things that we grew up in hard times. We were struggling. There was a lot of, like I said, violence going on. I used to, another thing that was a part of my life was not proud to talk about, but seeing a lot of mob hits and seeing people shot up on the sidewalk, walking out there as a kid. You know, I'm 12, 13, 10, 9. All through my life, I'm coming outside one day. You never know. You walk over, you might trip over a body. These are things that were in effect at that time, along with the drug use of crack and cocaine and heroin. And like I said, a lot of us out here, we had them in our families, and we were trying to find a way to suppress the depression from all of the how you said the goings ons. And so music was my outlet. So when I started doing music, I worked with my father, and my father had a group called Special Request, which consists of my father, my Uncle Barry, Uncle Tony. Shouts out to you. And we used to do a cappella singing, and we used to go out on 42nd Street, throw the hat down, the guitar case down, and we sing without instruments. And it was a very, how you said, powerful experience to get out there and to have a crowd of maybe 1,000, 100, 500. It varied at times, to be out on 42nd Street to be singing a cappella, and you're entertaining your folks that's going through struggle of going to work and coming from work at the time when I was a kid. I thank my father for that. And going forward from that, I had some friends that I was doing music with. One of my uncles, Anthony Lindsay, and my other friend, Anthony William Anthony. We call his Muslim name was Shadi. And so we'd be walking around, jumping on the train, and we continued the a cappella stuff. And we'd be practicing day and night, and because of the ethic that I came from, and I was kind of an asshole with the I was kind of controlling in a sense. But rehearsal was very important to me, and we used to go up to the Apollo, and me, Anthony, and and Shadi. Shouts out to my brother Shadi, Shadi Heru, Anthony Lindsay. Y'all remember when we used to go up to the Apollo, and we signed. Remember the first time we signed up with the Apollo, and we got on there, and we got a standing ovation. We did. I forgot all of the songs we did, but we was doing the songs of the time and the era at that time, and it varied from, oh boy, After Seven, Babyface, a lot of Babyface, Boys to Men, New Edition. We was doing just any song that was popular back in the early 80s at that time. And so we came around, and we would rehearse, and from Brooklyn, I linked up with one of my friends, my boy, who was the background dancer for Big Daddy Kane, my boy Scoob. What up, Scoob? Major influence as far as this guy was a serious dancer. He was like a very, and he rapped. And so he was working on his album at the time. And so I got into the community where I was, doing production and stuff like that. And from my piano, from being a child and learning the piano, I started getting into music production and stuff like that. So there was a time when we used to go up to MCA Records and check it out and see what's going on, and as far as like trying to get a deal and all that stuff, and making demo tapes. And me and my uncle John Lindsay, shouts out Funk Lab Studios, Brooklyn, New York. We used to record a lot of songs. Christopher Williams come through. Oh boy, who else came through? My cousin My. What up? Oh boy. Then my little cousin Tanera, she'd be working on her vocals. We have a lot of people coming through. My other cousin, Don Samad. What up, Don? We were working on an album. He was another rap group from the early 80s, the mid 80s. The group was called Lords of the Lords. What was it called? His group called? I got the album downstairs. Lords of the Underground, I think. And shouts out to my cousin Don Samad. Also, oh boy, we were working on, producing an album for, well, the first album in 1982, my uncles put out an album um, from all the rehearsing and working on putting songs together. 1982 on CBS, that was released through um, Epic Records, what you call Sony Corporation, and which was 1982 into Tavita LP. And after that was recorded, they was supposed to be doing a second album, and we were doing a lot of touring at that time. Oh boy, from the first album, I can go back. These are memories. My family can vouch for a lot of this stuff that was rolling with my Uncle Anthony and all my other cousins, my cousin Leroy and all of them. Um, um, what it was we were doing touring from that first album. We were doing a lot of the songs from the first album, and we would be all over New York. We'd be the Ark. There was a club called the Ark, a club called the Red Zone. There was a club called Sweetwater's, which we frequent often. Spodiotes. If I can go down, Leviticus. Boy. Going down to Bentley's. We used to be at there. My boy we used to love hanging out. And we hung out there a lot. Going back to a lot of clubs. Nagasaki's. The Tunnel. Ralph Cooper. What's up, Ralph Cooper? Found out he's my cousin. Didn't even know it. Ralph Cooper from the Apollo. Senior and junior. Shouts out to my family there, who was a major influence on and support for those artists coming up in New York. A lot of people don't shout out Ralph Cooper, but Ralph Cooper was a major part, played a major part in promoting artists through the Apollo and the amateur night at the Apollo. So shouts out to Ralph Cooper Jr. and Senior. Sylvia's up in Harlem. She was a major support for artists, and with her food, boy, was the joint, boy. When you roll up in Sylvia's, you might see Luther Vandross up in there. You don't know who you're gonna run into. Michael Jackson. You might see a bunch of other cats in there, but shouts out to DJ Sugar Daddy, who was also another major figure in the music industry, who was one of the greatest DJs in the world. And I think that a lot of people don't understand who he influenced, what he was a part of back then. If you don't know who Sugar Daddy is, Sugar Daddy put out an album back in the early 70s, and it was called Another One Bites the Dust, and he did the rap version to that song, and a major pillar in the hip hop community. Just going back, I moved from being in Manhattan. I was doing all of this stuff, and so my mother and us moved from Manhattan to Queens when I was in high school. And in high school, I made friends with a cat named Tim Brown. And we were working at Kentucky Fried Chicken on Mott Avenue in Far Rockaway. Far Rockaway, what up, Far Rock? Those are my Far Rock people. Memories, oh my gosh. All of the things that was going on in Far Rockaway. All of the music that was going on back then. Being as I was already in music, my crew was a cat named Derek Butler. Then I had this other cat named Timothy Hom, R.I.P. my brother Timothy Hom, who later, after me working with him, and he saw me producing while we were there in Auburn, and I gave him my sampler, and That's my little brother, my heart and my soul, man. He's like my brother, he's like my blood brother. And the cats in the neighborhood, he was a black dude who was half Chinese, and we had to protect Spec because a lot of the motherfuckers was like trying to punk him and stuff like that. And well, we called him Spec. His name is Timothy, and his stage name was his artist name was China Black. And we used to do ciphers in Far Rock. And well, it started out with my boy Tim Brown. Tim Brown was trying to get a record deal, and while we were working at Kentucky Fried Chicken on Mount Avenue, and there was this cat named Paris, this other cat named Rodney that worked there, Derek, my boy Derek, Butler again, my high school buddy, and we were in there working, and we'll be doing the beatbox over the chicken, not spitting on the chicken, but we'll be making songs off the top of our head, and Father being there spitting his flows. Father at the time was basically doing a lot of hardcore rap. Hardcore rap, what I mean is like fast rap, hardcore with real street lyrics to it. And he was trying to push it through Frankie Crocker's shouts out R.I.P. The legend Frankie Crocker. There was a show called Pump It or Dump It, or Make It or Break It, but it was called Pump It or Dump It. And Father would constantly go up there to push his music through to, well, Timothy, known well as Father MC, was trying to pump his music through on the radio through this program called Pump It or Dump It. And he would get his shit dumped. And he kept on dumping it. I was like, Father, Tim, you're too hard. Your lyrics are hard. You slow that shit down. You a ladies' man. At the time, we was running the streets. After we got off of work, we got our checks, our Kentucky Fried Chicken checks, $300, and we got out there chasing girls and all that stuff on the beach. We had the beach right there, and they used to throw a lot of DJ be out on the boardwalk, and they be pumping Rakim at the time. I came in the door, said it before. I never let the mic magnetize me no more. And we be out there on the boardwalk just jamming back, packed out there, like everybody from Edgemere, everybody from Hamels, everybody from the 40s projects, everybody from Bayswater, just like from all over Far Rock. And even from Bell Harbor, white people would come down at times, on the boardwalk. That was like our place to hang out with our girls and just do our thing and have fun. And, the basketball court was off there, or the handball court was right off the boardwalk. And so right off of Beach 60th, we'd be right there jamming. Boy, that music be pumping. Those speakers be out there. Shouts out to my boy Hassan. Oh boy, all the people back in there. My brother Khalid, Far Rock. Oh boy, just going into those memories. So much stuff was going on. And so Father was trying to get his music on, popping and stuff. So, and we go back to his house, and Father be at the house, rapping, and we'll be in the house. His mom come in, Miss Brown. Shouts out to Miss Brown. She be up in there, Father, I'm going out. She go shopping. Miss Brown like to go shopping, and we had some good times and stuff. So we was writing rhymes. I would help him write his rhymes, and I would be like, and then his boy Rob would come by, who was his DJ at the time, and trying to put music together for him, and he was producing music. And so I'm guessing at the time Father wasn't getting any play, but he knew a lot of cats. So while I was living in, we used to hang over at the basketball court at this project, a housing complex called Ocean Village. In Ocean Village, my other homeboy, Peter Moore, used to be out there, and he used to be battling people doing the popping shit, and he used to do that ticking shit, and everybody would like, he was the nicest cat in Far Rockaway at the time, but this cat was the nicest cat in New York City. As far as that popping shit and that battling, doing the ticking shit and waving all that shit and just period dancing overall. But he had a different way that he created dancing. He was also doing music also. And so I was doing tracks, and I gave him some music to do some music, and he ended up doing some stuff. He was dancing for EPMD, but he also got a deal with EPMD. Far as through my boy Todd. What up, L? He's family, long time, LL. Another hip hop great, LL Cool J. Shouts out to you, the legend, the GOAT. Hands down. You know what I'm saying? LL, the GOAT, hands down. Nobody can dispute that. But at the time, LL was fucking with Fubu and all that stuff, and Peter, and I was throwing music at him, and Peter was doing his thing and singing, and at the time, I got linked up with doing some production with my new manager, as far as with me, my boy Tony, and another friend that was a lead singer in my group called The Fellas. He ended up, we ended up working with Tony Terry, which was my #1 favorite singer when I was a kid. When he came out with that song, "It's that lovey-dovey feeling when I'm with you. Oh, that lovey-dovey feeling is so true." And yeah, I ended up getting to work with him through my manager because we had the same manager. And we were working on my group album at the time also. So I was doing a lot of things. But Peter was doing stuff with EPMD. Father ended up linking with Mark Morales. And Mark Morales slowed his shit down. And that's when you got the album, Father MC album, with the Freedom album, and they threw Jodeci. What up, Devontae? What up, KC? What up, Dalvin? What up? What up, Jodeci? Yo, another legendary group. Came through Father MC, and they did some major work. Also, I was up at MCA dealing with a publishing deal up at MCA, so we were recording and dropping shit down on the 24 track at MCA Records, which was Uptown Records also. A moment of silence for my brother Heavy D. Shouts out to my brother Heavy D, another legend. I used to see him all the time as I walked into MCA, me, Kenny, and my brother Tony. As we walked past his office, he'd be sitting in there by himself, quiet, just chilling, and you wouldn't hear a peep out of his office. It was real quiet, and he'd just be sitting in the office. And I can't forget another influential. Remember, all these people I'm naming are people that I was involved with. Oh boy, the administrator. Oh boy. I know what girls like. I know what boys like. Patty. Oh, our administrator. Oh boy, at MCA. R.I.P. to her. Rest in peace, Patty. Oh my gosh, she had a hit record. I know what boys like from back in the day, and I'm telling you, man, we would walk up in MCA Records, man, and I'm telling you, we would go into Patty's office, and Patty be in there with her drawer full of cocaine, and she was so cool though, but we ain't paying no attention. No, none of us did any drugs. We were clean. We were around a lot of people that did drugs, but we didn't do drugs. And we walk up in the office and she know we working on music through the publishing deal, and she knew what was up. And so she's like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And she called us the Fellas, and that's where we get the name the Fellas from. As far as my group, a secondary group that I had with Tony and Kenny. And got to give shouts out to my brother Rob Catlin, who was also a co-producer, producing songs and writing, and was a major part of the Fellas. So we would go into MCA, and Patty would be in there. Patty Donahue is her last name. Sorry, I couldn't get it right out of my head. Patty Donahue is her name, if you want to look her up. A major part of the music industry, but nobody talks about her much. But she was a major part of hip-hop, and a lot of these groups, Jodeci, a lot of the people came through MCA, people who came through Uptown Records, Patty Donahue, R.I.P. She would tell us, "Hey, well, if y'all guys need some material," in her office, she had this office where we would sit down and just kick it with her, just talk about life and craziness, what was going on in New York, and she would show us a wall full of DAT tapes. DAT tapes are digital audio tapes, cassettes. And they were little tape, about that size, about that little size. I got some downstairs in my studio. But they had, you talking about Jodeci's album, you talking about Monifa's album, you talking about Monica's album. All of these people that was signed to, you talking about Father MC, all of them had their albums on a DAT tape. And you might have 30 songs on that DAT tape. And they were all just lined up on the wall. There was a whole wall full of just DAT tapes of people's music. And she said, if you need anything, go right up there and take what you want, do what you got to do, just write. We got a publishing deal. This is going in the same company. Is right. So, a secret. MCA Records. My boy Kenny was writing a song called "If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Do Anything at All," and that was put on to a DAT tape and was put in Patty's office. And Jodeci ended up with a song with the same melody, but flipped the end. My boy Antonio Rasmus can vouch for this, and my boy Kenny Tillman can. If loving you is all that I have to do, I don't want to do anything else. Not at all, but else. So, but the melody was similar, and they flipped it a little bit. As like I said, in the production, as a producer, you can take a song that was made, you could take a Heavy D song, you could take a Busta Rhymes song, and complete production, and take that same, say we can take the vocals from that song and create a totally different beat with that same energy and create a remix to it. And so lyrically, if you think about it, and this is for everyone to know, this is what's going on nowadays, is that when they hear old stuff, maybe you might hear an old disco song or old R&B song or old blues song or old R&B ballad or whatever, and they might hear a melody, and they'll take that melody but flip it, add a little twist to it, change one note in that melody, and that created another song. And so you would hear, like, matter of fact, if you can go and let me give you a secret, Anita Baker's "Sweet Love, they'll be calling out your name. I feel no shame, I need sweet love." With oh no, is it that song? Let's go, cause Guy, my boy Guy, Teddy, made a beat called with Blackstreet. They did a song. What's the name of that song? I can't remember the song. But going through that, there's a song that Anita Baker did, and Blackstreet created a song from that same melody, or they have similar melodies, but might have been influenced by him listening to that song. See, I can listen to a song, and giving you a little in-depth as far as production. You can listen to a song, and that melody can have an effect on you. And when you're in the creating mode and you heard a melody throughout the day, or you turned on WBLS, or you turned on Hot 97 Kiss or whatever, and you heard a song, and you was bumping to it, and it's in your head and it's in your spirit, and you rolling with it, and then you go on into the studio to create. Those melodies leak into your creation, and this is why a lot of producers don't like to listen, or they don't want to listen to what's going on currently, so they can create something original, because they don't want any influence spiritually by a leaked melody or vibration that leaked into their writing. So shouts out to my boy Teddy Riley. Shouts out to Blackstreet. Shouts out to Anita Baker. Shouts out to all of these people that who are a part of it. Oh, got to give a shout out to the Queen, Melissa Morgan. She was in the studio with us when we recorded our song. We took a melody from her song. Well, it wasn't actually. She took the song from Prince, and then we did a song from her song, her version of it. Do Me Baby. We got a song called Do Me, but it's a twist to that. But a couple of songs actually have that Prince feel to it, and a little bit of influence of that vibration. Yeah, everybody steals, especially the best of the best steals. Prince stole from Bootsy Collins. Bootsy Collins stole from James Brown. James Brown stole from Sam Cooke. Going down the line, there's nothing to be ashamed of. But it's all about the good music that came forward from there. Teddy Pendergrass stole. Earth, Wind, and Fire stole melodies. Just if you go down the line, you can start hearing what I'm saying. But you have to have your ear tuned to a lot of melodies that's being played back to you over and over again. But that's why I created my page on Facebook called Flavor Jackers. So if you can, tune into Flavor Jackers. So Father MC went on ahead and created the album with Jodeci, Bye 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 Boom Boom Boom. And I was over at, I was working with Ted Courier. Shout out to you. Oh boy, all the people there. Sherry Shepard, Bob Curry, our manager from that Platinum Vibes. My boy. Oh, can't forget. I got a shout out. I didn't say shout out to my big brother Tony Terry. Shouts out to you, Tony, man. I'm seeing you working on your new joints. Tony, bring that heat. I love you, man. Keep on working on them albums, man. Don't stop doing. I know you're gonna do it anyway, but that's in your spirit, man. I love you. You have a beautiful spirit. Thank you for your music and your melodies. And you are one of the hardest, I would say, the greatest singers on this planet. I don't care what nobody say. You deserve that for your life, man. I'm giving you a flower. Shout out to Tony Terry. The GOAT in male singers in R&B. So working with them, and we did a couple of songs at MCA. Tony came in, and which was a blessing, more than a blessing for him to have him on our album. We were actually working on a record deal with Warner Brothers for the fellas, and our lawyer, R.I.P., rest in peace, Michael Scavella, passed away, and that kind of discouraged us, and it kind of destroyed us getting that deal with Warner Brothers to release our album. But I ended up releasing it anyway through CD Baby. So again, R.I.P. Michael Scavella. I didn't forget you. Oh boy. Shouts out. Tommy Mottola. Shouts out. Thank you for inviting me to the party. My boy Todd Smith, LL Cool J, well known as. Thank you for inviting me to the RSVP party in Manhattan Club 2020. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful occasion. Thank you for that. I will never forget that day. Just coming through New York and working, on music and seeing my boy Father blow up. Then my boy Peter Moore, which we called him Poppin' Pete in Far Rockaway, he ended up being a choreographer for EPMD and even for Father. He tacked on a couple of other dancers who my boys from my Kung Fu class, from my dojo. My boy Moet, Jermaine, shouts out to you. Moet, Tricky from Far Rock, shouts out to you. Mr. Cheeks, the LV fam. Oh boy, the days of the MPVs rolling out to Long Island for the shows. I'm talking about, have you ever seen this? Imagine rolling down Southern Highway in Long Island, and you rolling 50, and everybody got MPVs, 50 MPVs deep, rolling up to this spot in Long Island. Boy, shouts out to my boy Mr. Cheeks. R.I.P. Freaky Ty. Oh boy. R.I.P. my brother China Black, Timothy Hom. Shouts out to his dad, William Hom. Just attended his funeral not too long ago. This is my younger brother that was a part of my life, and we traveled from New York to Nebraska, and we opened up a youth center, and I opened up a studio out there and a bar out there with my R.I.P. my partner Corla Graham and her daughter Johnny Graham and Marlon Johnson out in Omaha, Nebraska. Shouts out to my family out in Omaha, Nebraska. I cannot forget you. You are my solid family. I will never have a family like Omaha, Nebraska. All my people out there, all my G's, all my Crips, my Bloods. Just going out there, man. The folks, the disciples, all my disciple homies, all my Vice Lord homies. Alicia, shouts out to you. Peace to you. All my people, like Freddie Dead, just naming all of these people that was out there. My other artist, Mac Dividends, just released another one on SoundCloud. Check him out, Mac Dividends. That's MacDividinz, Mac Dividends. And check out his music, please, and support him. Shouts out to oh boy, my high school buddy, Kenny, which everyone knows him as Chaotic Supreme, and oh boy, he's releasing stuff right now on SoundCloud and Reverb Nation and so on, so forth. Shouts out. Oh, one of my young students the young ladies from Omaha, Nebraska, when I opened up the youth center there. 20 years strong, still going. Shouts out to Carl Washington, and a special shout out to one of the girls from my program who became a ghostwriter for Chris Brown, Rihanna, going down the line, working with Missy Elliott and all these other people, the DC. Esther Dean. I love you, mama. I love you, little mama, and I'm proud of you. and I'm glad you listened to me. And I didn't know it was gonna be you. I said it was gonna be one of you motherfuckers in that room. Well, excuse my language. I knew it was one of it. I had no idea, but I knew that one of you kids was gonna make it big, and you did. And I'm proud of you. And every one of us else that's still doing music are proud of you, and we're very proud to be a part of your life and have been there with you. To see you writing for the twins, for Dewana and Dewan. Excuse me, water your mouth. But shouts out to you, Esther Dean. Another pillar in the music industry that you don't know, that actually writing all of the hits that came from Chris Brown and Rihanna and going on down the line. Shouts out to my cousin. Oh, another cousin of mine. I got so many cousins in the music industry. My cousin Sure Will, who is touring right now. Cuz, I love you. Thank you for coming down and blessing me. Thank you for being around. Thank you for being there with me and showing me that I'm doing the right thing, I'm going down the right path, and showing me by being an example. Boy, when this dude, we went to Brooklyn, and we was driving down Atlantic Avenue, and we stopped at this piano spot right off of the border of Queens and Brooklyn. And he went in there, and this, I'm telling you, it was a Chinese girl in there on the piano. And it was one of those, I think it was a Yamaha or a Shad piano. And talking about a classical piano, she's just running the classical shit. And my cousin, Will Clark, Sure Will. If you get a chance, two people out there, please pick up Sure Will's album. If you want to find him, Sure Will Jazz on the internet. He's also on Facebook. He's on Twitter. He's all going down the line. Sure Will Jazz. Check him out. And and also my cousin Dwayne Broadnest. Check him out. Oh, I can't forget my cousin Udell, Alfonso Udell, the pastor Alfonso Udell. I'm proud of you. Thank you. God bless. Keep your music going. Keep the ministries going. I know you're here. I'm trying to get to it. I don't know where it's at right now. I got to contact you. I got to call you and get in contact with you. But the family's going to come and support you as far as your endeavor back here in New York and also down in South Carolina and so forth. But, oh boy, I can't forget my other cousin, the Florida Mass Choir. Oh boy, my cousin Cooper. Yes, Drew Cooper. Shouts out to you. I love you. That's my family there. Support Florida Mass Choir. Oh boy, it gets crazy, but I can't remember everybody's names. But R.I.P. my godfather Reggie Seegers, who was a major part of teaching me music, teaching me shell chords, teaching me structure, breaking down music. I went forth to teach music, and what you taught me, I taught, and I passed it on. My blessings come through. It's not about being famous. And let me please make this a point. In this music industry, I've been a part of mainly everybody out there. Babyface. I mean, he was up in Omaha. He had a group there. He branched out from there. Just some people that I was a part of their lives or involved in studio with. Shouts out to my brother. Oh, I can't forget my brother when we used to do the karaoke recordings, and then we were in the studio with Mark Stevens. Shouts out to Mark Stevens. That's family right there. MCA Records. Oh boy, I'm naming some names here. Jeff Red, my brother Jeff. Shouts out to you. Love you, brother. Keep the music coming. Oh boy. Going down there. Oh, the girl that didn't come out when you released your album, Diosa Garrett. I hope you're doing music. You have a beautiful voice. Put out an album, please. If you got to release the stuff you recorded, put something out. At least if I know you didn't get to put out your album because of voice problems at the time when we was recording. But please put out an album. Diosa Garrett is her name. I'm shouting, I'm calling you forward. I'm challenging you. Please put out some music because you had a phenomenal voice, and you will be a monster in this music business. Shouts out to Kiki Wyatt. Shouts out to Missy Elliott from Brownsville. I gotta shout you out, sister. You Brownsville, sister. Oh boy, just going down the line. Oh, my barbers, my well, I can't call them my barbers. It's my people, my family. They my brothers. They're another set of brothers of mine. Fredro and Sticky, Kurt. Shouts out to you, Onyx. Family for life. LV fam, Queens fam for life. Love you, my brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Other than what you, the fly ass haircut, my brother Sticky used to do my hair back in the days. Your music was amazing. We supported you. I bought every album of yours. Thank you for putting it out there. I love you. Fredro, love you. Keep going. I see you over in London doing your thing. I see you around the world, Stick, and doing the acting, even with the Blade, man. Blade is my number one thing. I love Wesley Snipes. That's people from back in the days from Manhattan. But you did a great, excellent job. Shouts out to my boy, Fredro and Sticky, and the acting business and the music business. Onyx. Legends in the game. Oh boy, I got so many people I got to say something about. Sean P. Oh boy, there's so many people I can't. It's like I'm gonna be. Oh, Kwame, Kid and Play. You motherfuckers, y'all owe me. You stole my damn outfit when y'all came to Sweetwater's when we was doing that show. And Andre Harrell and them was out there. Y'all came down there playing slick, thinking y'all slick. Me and my uncle was peeping what y'all was doing. What the fuck are you doing in my dressing room? Like, y'all niggas, yeah, respect. You're legends in the game, too. Much love. Love you still. No animosity. But you stole my motherfucking design. You was peeping my motherfucking outfit and my uncle outfit that we put together. And you went on that damn Sprite commercial, and you went on there. Shouts out to Yvette, Aunt Yvette, and Sheila. Yvette was the one that put the design together for us. We drew it out. Yvette got all the pieces, and she added to it also. So shouts out to my elder Yvette from Brownsville, who put the threads together for us to do the show. We did that. We actually did the Apollo. And that's the night we got the standing ovation with Ralph Cooper. And Ralph Cooper said, shouts out to Ralph Cooper, these some natural singing motherfuckers. We blew their minds with an a cappella version when I reproduced the beat using Get in Touch with Me and the Impeach the President beat. Me, Shadi, and my Uncle Anthony went in there and blew the roof off of Apollo. And we wore those outfits at that show, but we also had a show at Sweetwater's and with my family group, Intensive Heat, at that time. And Club 2020, Saturns. Oh, I'm just naming stuff from back in the day. Demararas, The Shadow. Oh boy, naming all those places that we perform and well as hanging out and doing business and just circulating business and just being young at the time. But just remember, and this is to end this off, always pass on. When you was given something, music is not about money. A lot of these cats in this industry, and I have to say this, a lot of people in the music industry are not about music. They're not even really in love with music. I grew up from a point of it being my culture. This is who I am. My father played the guitar. My father taught me what he knew. my grandmother, it was in my family. My grandfather played the guitar. My great uncle was a legendary doo-wop singer from back at you're talking about Chess Records. This is 60 years in the business. Uncle Willie Winfield and his group was called the Harp Tones. Cedar and Barbara, shouts out to you. Rest in peace. People are in this music industry to profit, and music needs to be back where it was. The love of it needs to be back. It needs to. When you do music, you use music to entertain your people. It's not about taking their money or ripping them off, and you going off and being rich and caking off of your people and treating them like some dummies or some stuff. No, music is about the heart and its love, its vibrations. It has to do with the universe, and it's more than just a CD or a tape or a MP3 or MP4. It's our culture. It's somebody's life. You're talking about life situations and experiences. It's more than that. You can't treat something like that as something minuscule. But be in mind that there are people out there who are just for profiting, which we call false prophets in the religious sect. In the music industry, there are people who use music or take music, and a lot of you out there are taking music and not giving back to the people who brought it forth, or giving honor to that. We need to bring back the honor of it. We need to bring back to the getting together, to creating groups, singing together, and unity, which is a thing. Music was about unity back then. Now I got my computer and I got my beat machine or my native instruments or my Arturia, and fuck everybody. I'm doing this shit by myself. No, it's not about selfishness, because you didn't get that talent. You wouldn't learn how to do that, do music without what came before you. So pay homage to your ancestors, those people who brought these to you. This is why in African culture, in Native American culture, or Seal, you pay homage to your ancestors. You give honor and respect to your mother and father, those people that brought you here, those people that were here before you. So I'm going to close this, and not forgetting anybody. Oh, godparents, BT Express. Oh boy. BT Express was a major part of our life. The lead singer, my sister's godfather, and it's so many people that was a part of. Like I said, a major influence was Evelyn Champagne King, and also shouts out to Shannon, who lived in the back buildings of Edgemere. Sparky D, shouts out to my sister Sparky D, the legend Sparky D. Shouts out to you. I got names that's probably people that you don't even know. Pay respects to the people that got you here, and give back. Share. It's not about just sharing a post on Facebook. Share your life. Share a part of you. These young men are walking around here blind and stupid. Share your information. This is why black people are not moving anywhere, because there's single people getting information and they're not sharing it, and when it was shared to them. And for you not to share it with your brothers and sisters, you're doing the universe a discredit. So share. Love you. Peace. God bless. Keep music alive. Peace.